Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the YouTube audiobook series for The Snake and the Rose, written by Abby Matthias. I am Abby Davis, and today I am introducing Chapter 28. If you missed Chapter 27, links in the description below, or you can access it through the playlist as well. And if you are all caught up and ready to go, we will continue on with Chapter 28, The Mystery Man.
As Abby quickly drifted off to her dreamland, I felt my eyes getting heavy as I kept forcing them open. I didn't know if Satan was going to sneak attack us again, or make another improper visit while I was up here. I was not about to let anything else happen to her. I was very vigilant because of everything, and I was willing to sleep deprive myself in order to ensure her safety. Of course, my eyes kept blinking frequently as they wanted to shut. At one point, my eyes stayed closed for a couple of seconds, and I had to shake myself to open them again. However, once they were, I noticed my environment was totally different. I was in a wide open abyss with a spotlight shining down upon me. I eventually started swiveling my head to the left and right, trying to identify my surroundings. Yet I couldn't see anything but blackness beyond the light. This environment seemed oddly familiar. It was like I was in that dream world with the two figures, except I was somehow the center of attention this time. Upon realizing that, I tried to stand myself up out of my chair, but when I attempted to do so, I couldn't seem to move. Finding that out, I lowered my head down to see that I was strapped to a chair and couldn't stand up. The harness on my arms and legs were made up of a strong leather material that made it hard to escape out of. And if that was bad enough, there was also some sort of light blue charm or force surrounding the straps. I assumed it was to ensure that my restraints were indestructible and prevented me from using any of my powers to destroy them. But as to who would be strapping me down, I was clueless. This wasn't any of Satan's doing, as he would have made himself known to me. This was something or someone new that was harping me. So determined to find out, I called out in search for that someone. Hey, what's going on? Who's doing this? Upon my outburst, the sequence commenced by a man walking out from the darkness. I could hear the tread of his footsteps as they were softly sounding. However, the steps grew louder as if they were maneuvering towards me. Yet eventually, after a bit, a man walked into the spotlight where I was to reveal himself. Upon the sight of him, I knew exactly who he was, for the features I saw upon him were distinct and triggering to my memory. His hair shimmered slightly from the grease used. His blue eyes were staring right at me through his glasses, and he wore his formal attire of red with a black vest and pants. This was the second man from my reoccurring dreams. He was actually noticing me for once and standing just at the edge of the light. Yet I was still puzzled as to why I had to be constrained for this interaction. I wasn't a threat to him. Yet I couldn't do anything about it, so I continued to stare at the second man as he decided to speak.
Well, look what we have here. If it isn't the almighty Darius,
He said sarcastically. What is that supposed to mean? You act as if I'm the worst person you've ever met. I replied, a little offended.
at this point, you might be. However, it's nice to see that I finally have your attention. It's just unfortunate that it had to come to this in order to get it.
What are you talking about? I asked confusingly. I've been paying attention the entire time when it comes to whatever this is. I always call out to you, but you never hear me. Why am I the one who has to be restrained from moving if I am only trying to help you?
Because you are one of them now and can't be trusted. Plus, I don't need you walking away from this conversation if you don't like what I have to say. I am only playing the part I'm forced to act out while you keep messing around.
At that moment, he stared at me and placed his hands behind his back to hold back the rest of his anger. Then once he took a breath, he continued on with the discussion.
We need to have an intervention.
Upon that, I scoffed at him and said, "Why would we need to have an intervention?"
So that I can show you that your actions affect other people's lives like my own.
My actions? I don't control what you do. I'm not your parent and I am not going to possess your body. Hell, I don't even know who you are.
Well, that's a damn shame because you should. We are more connected than what you think.
But how? I've always had this feeling of being bound to you in some way. Yes, we both made a deal to save our children, but yet you're inquiring that we have a stronger connection than that. If that's true, just tell me so I can understand.
I wish I could, Darius, but I can't. I'm only allowed to play my part until everything is set right. My job is to be a guide and help you come to the realization. You have to figure everything out on your own.
After he said that, I kept trying to understand his statement. How were we in any way connected? Why couldn't he tell me the truth? Yet, I couldn't truly reflect on those questions. For as I was trying to think, he continued to speak.
With every interaction I have with that other doctor, you knew what I was getting myself into while I was clueless. You knew he would persuade me into signing that contract without explaining everything. Yet you stood in the background and didn't even think twice to stop the madness.
"Oh yes, I did," I exclaimed. "I shouted at you so many times to stop, but you wouldn't listen. I've tried to physically help you, but that other man stops me every time."
You're stronger than him, Darius,
he said, raising his voice.
Your powers should symbolize that. Why can't you see it with your own eyes?
Because I know this is just a fantasy, a place where reality is false and made up from my own subconscious. Once I wake up, everything resorts back to my original screwed up and torturous life. The words coming out of this man's mouth was throwing me off. I was nowhere near being as powerful as Satan. Yes, I broke the chains the last time the deal-making delusion happened. But that was just ironic. It was still a dream where anything could happen. But of course, he wouldn't comprehend that.
These dreams are more important than you believe them to be,
he said in a suspicious tone while raising his eyebrows.
Besides the point, if you understand how horrible your life is now, what makes you think my life would be any better after I made that deal?
I don't believe that. I never wish for anyone to endeavor the pain and torment I have been through. What happened to me was diabolical and inhumane. I've literally been through so many traumatic experiences. Being turned into a demon, making other deals with innocent humans under the stipulations of Satan, living for 13 years in regret, getting physically tortured and abused by the devil himself, being physically turned into a woman, and—
Hold on a second. What?
The mystery man said, interrupting my rant.
You were changed into a woman?
Yes, I was, and it isn't something I want to talk about. I replied back. It's already bad enough that it happened. Then on top of it all, I got shapeshifting power to change into that form. After that statement, the man fully faced me and gave me a smirk before saying,
See? I knew you were the one. But that is besides the point. We are not differing the subject.
After that statement, he straightened his clothing and took a deep breath to compose himself.
You could have prevented everything from happening. You had the potential to save me from that trap, and I wouldn't be in this situation. You had ample amount of time to change everything. But because of your actions, I lost 3 important things to me.
After he said that, I seen another figure starting to appear from the darkness. The man turned his head to the silhouette, and my eyes followed suit to see what was happening. As the being walked into the light, I seen a young woman with long, wavy black hair wearing almost a matching red shirt and black pants, except more feminine. She wore an emerald flower necklace and appeared sad, with her head hung low. Once she stopped in place, the man started to explain who she was.
The first thing I lost was my wife. She meant everything to me, and I loved her dearly. I know she loved me just as much and was the loyalest person I've ever met. However, she is now stuck living in a house by herself as a lonely widow with only one other thing in her life.
Yet after his first explanation, another smaller figure started to appear. Upon the light hitting it, the silhouette was revealed to be a little boy with silverish hair and blue eyes just like his dad. His appearance grew alarming to me as this boy looked oddly familiar, like a younger version of someone I might know, but at the time I couldn't put my finger on it. Besides my bewildered expression, it didn't stop the man from explaining who the boy was.
The second thing I lost was my son. He was my pride and joy in life besides my wife. I was his protector. I would do anything for him no matter how silly or serious it was. He was worth everything in life I worked so hard for. I strived to make a better future for him. But because of your stubbornness and lack of help, he will be left alone to be raised by his mother and remain an only child for the rest of his life.
Trust me, I get how that feels. I interrupted. But how can you blame me for trying to help you when you could have said no? You have the capability of telling him no. I've heard and seen you second-guess making that deal with him. Yet you wanted to believe him because of your grief. You are pointing at the wrong guy. If anything, the other man you made the deal with is to blame.
Oh, I know. I already blame him. But you used to help all kinds of people within your lifetime. Yet when it came to the innocent bystander you somehow connect with, you don't do anything. You don't push yourself anymore like you used to when you were living. You don't have the dedication or determination anymore. Which with that, it leads me to the third thing I've lost.
And what would that be?
My life. The one thing that I will never give back because of that cursed deed.
As he said that, his appearance began to change and alter. His figure grew in width and height very slowly. His face started cracking while the skin on his arms tore. As this visual filled my sight, he continued on with his rant.
You could have saved me from the monster that I am now. I have to live this unwanted life until I die again within this world. I'll never be able to see my wife
Or son again. I'm forced to leave them behind to grieve and fend for myself. They don't get to have a loving husband or a father to guide them or help them. While he spoke, his mouth formed into a horrible and wide crooked smile with sharp teeth. His voice grew demonic as his eyes glowed dark red and became fixated on me. "What is happening to you? This is sickening," I said, turning my head away from the terrible prodigy. However, it didn't stay turned away for long. My head was suddenly twisted back to watch the rest of the transformation within its final moments. Large red and black horns began growing out the sides of his head, while he spoke once more.
You don't get to look away. It's too late for forgiveness. Behold this monstrosity you created.
Within that moment, he lunged at the chair I was strapped in and made it tip backwards to send it to the floor. As the falling sensation stopped, I was flung back to reality and found myself within Abby's computer chair. In reaction to everything that just happened, I kept gasping for air while trying to take in my true surroundings. I swiveled my head around to find that her curtains were open, and it was morning. The sunlight brightly filled the bedroom as my eyes also took in the sight of an empty bed. Abby must have gotten up a little while ago, and I didn't hear her leave. So as I was about to get up to go find her, I felt something move on my lap. The object startled me at first, but as I looked down upon my legs, I saw it was just a blue fuzzy blanket. I lifted one of the ends up to examine it and saw there were stars that were reflecting sunlight off of them. Taking in that observation, I realized that this particular blanket was Abby's main one she slept with. My mind recalled the night I tucked her in after her nightmare about Chad, and remembered the same piece of fabric being pulled over her body. The only explanation for it being placed on me now was that she placed it on me at some point, but I don't know when. Just upon that thought, I heard her door open and my head immediately turned to watch Abby walk in with a plate full of food.
Well, good morning, sleepyhead. You woke up just in time for breakfast.
She said sweetly as she placed the plate of food in front of me. What? I was actually asleep?
Yeah. What else would you call that? From what I witnessed, you were out cold.
But I wasn't supposed to be. I don't even know when I drifted off. I was watching over you two.
Furious.
She interrupted.
You still need to sleep. It's a necessity for you as well, regardless of what you are. But I do have to say that you look paler than usual. Like, some of your red faded a bit. Are you okay?
I gazed at my hand and seen that my skin was somehow a shade lighter. I grew a little shocked, for this never happened before. That dream really did screw with me mentally and physically. If this was what happened to me from actually experiencing the sight myself, it wasn't going to affect Abby any better. Plus, this wasn't really any of her business. She didn't need to worry about me because of these weird fantasies that keep changing. So with her question still out in the open, I decided to lie to not scare her. Yeah, I'm fine. I just haven't eaten in a while. I must have malnutrition from the lack of eating, I said, laughing hesitantly at the end. I didn't really mean to do so, but it kind of slipped out and made itself known. However, I brushed it away and started to grab the fork to show my appetite. Once she seen my interest for food was present, she began to explain what she made for breakfast.
So, I didn't know exactly what kind of breakfast you wanted. I never really see you eat, and we never discussed what kinds of food you like. So, I figured I would make homemade French toast with bacon. I hope that's okay with you.
This is perfectly fine, Abby. But I do have to ask, why did you make me breakfast?
I don't know. I just felt like doing so. I felt bad about what happened last night, and I wanted to make you feel a little better.
What part of last night are you referring to? I asked, a little concerned.
Well, I know you felt a little uncomfortable helping me dance with Damien. I still heard those thoughts. But the main part I'm talking about is when we were in the cosplay room with Satan. I feel awful that you got punished for protecting me.
Abby, none of that was your fault. You don't need to worry about me.
I know. But I still wanted to do something nice for you. So go ahead and eat your breakfast.
I will. Do you have maple syrup and possibly some kind of juice?
Of course I do. I'll go get that for you right now.
And she left the room for a brief moment. As she was gone, I decided to take a bite of bacon and dwell on its flavor. I haven't had bacon in a long time, so tasting it again was a delightful treat. The strip of meat was cooked to perfection as it was crispy to bite into, with a twinge of smoky flavor. While I was in the middle of savoring, Abby came back with a glass of apple juice and a bottle of syrup.
How's the bacon?
It's fantastic. Thank you very kindly. I grabbed the drinking glass out of her hand and took a sip of it to wash down some of the bacon. Afterwards, I poured the sticky syrup over the French toast and began eating it while she started talking again.
I didn't have anything planned for today, and Mom and Dad are in town. That's also another reason why I was able to make you a meal without anyone being suspicious. Seeming how it's 9:30 in the morning.
And I immediately choked on my food a bit upon knowing the time. Abby grew alarmed for a moment and placed her hand on my back. I assumed she was getting ready to smack it to dislodge the food trapped in my throat. However, I managed to control myself and quickly respond before she could. It's 9:30?
Yes, it is. Damn! That was quite the reaction.
She exclaimed, relieved.
Why is that so alarming to you?
Because I never sleep for that long. I only sleep for 45 minutes, remember?
Well, you say you only need 45 minutes, but there is no harm in sleeping for more. I would imagine the reason you slept longer was because of all the drama and stress you endured last night.
Yet I shouldn't have been able to sleep that long. Abby, this isn't normal for me to do. It's not normal for any demon to do so. Something else has to be going on. I shouldn't need—
Curious, look at me.
she said, gently grabbing my face. She guided my head to face hers and made me gaze into her eyes. She was displaying a calm but warm-hearted expression towards me, and I became lost within an instant. It was like she was hypnotizing me with a gesture, and I immediately calmed down to hear her out.
Stop worrying about you sleeping too much. You may not admit it, but it's important for your body to regenerate its energy so you can function properly and to do the best of your ability. It's okay. Don't stress yourself over it. The important thing now is that you're awake and re-energized. That's what matters.
Upon her saying that, my worries about oversleeping washed away and I was able to compose myself. She was right. I was overthinking about something that wasn't even a problem. I had time to sleep more because of my protector demon job. So I took her advice, finished my breakfast, and moved on with the rest of the day with her by my side.
This has been Chapter 28, The Mystery Man, from the book The Snake and the Rose. Tune in to the next video for Chapter 29. Thank you for listening.